Now the main fuel tank begins to ignite and explode. As we wait for President Reagan to address the American people, you will note in the upper right-hand quarter of your screen what appears to be an entire, or almost entire, there it is, upper quarter of the screen, piece of what is believed to be the right solid rocket fuel booster.
10 seconds. Stand by, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd planned to speak to you tonight to report on the State of the Union. But the events of earlier today have led me to change those plans. Today is a day for mourning and remembering. Nancy and I are pained to the core by the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss. 19 years ago, almost to the day, we lost 3 astronauts in a terrible accident on the ground. But we've never lost an astronaut in flight. We've never had a tragedy like this. And perhaps we've forgotten the courage it took for the crew of the shuttle. But they, the Challenger 7, were aware of the dangers, but overcame them and did their jobs brilliantly. We mourn 7 heroes: Michael Smith, Dick Scobie, Judith Resnick, Ronald McNair, Ellison Onizuka, Gregory Jarvis, and Krista Mikaloff. We mourn their loss as a nation together. To the families of the 7, we cannot bear, as you do, the full impact of this tragedy. But we feel the loss, and we're thinking about you so very much. Your loved ones were daring and brave, and they had that special grace, that special spirit that says, give me a challenge, and I'll meet it with joy. They had a hunger to explore the universe and discover its truths. They wished to serve, and they did. They served all of us. We've grown used to wonders in this century. It's hard to dazzle us. But for 25 years, the United States space program has been doing just that. We've grown used to the idea of space, and perhaps we forget that we've only just begun. We're still pioneers. They, the members of the Challenger crew, were pioneers. And I want to say something to the school children of America who were watching the live coverage of the shuttle's takeoff. I know it's hard to understand, but sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all part of the process of exploration and discovery. It's all part of taking a chance and expanding man's horizons. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. The Challenger crew was pulling us into the future, and we'll continue to follow them. I've always had great faith in and respect for our space program, and what happened today does nothing to diminish it. We don't hide our space program. We don't keep secrets and cover things up. We do it all up front and in public. That's the way freedom is, and we wouldn't change it for a minute. We'll continue our quest in space. There will be more shuttle flights and more shuttle crews, and yes, more volunteers, more civilians, more teachers in space. Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue. I want to add that I wish I could talk to every man and woman who works for NASA or who worked on this mission and tell them your dedication and professionalism have moved and impressed us for decades, and we know of your anguish. We share it. There's a coincidence today. On this day, 390 years ago, the great explorer Sir Francis Drake died aboard ship off the coast of Panama. In his lifetime, the great frontiers were the oceans, and a historian later said he lived by the sea, died on it, and was buried in it. Well, today, we can say of the Challenger crew, their dedication was, like Drake's, complete. The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us for the manner in which they lived their lives. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them, this morning, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye. and slipped the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God. Thank you.
Live from the White House in Washington, D.C., the President of the United States with a talk to the American people on this day when 7 of their fellow Americans, 7 individual and unique human beings, apparently perished in the fireball that became the Space Shuttle Challenger. Those heroes were the commander of the Space Shuttle flight today, Major Francis Dick Scobie, 46 years old, Auburn, Washington hometown, married, father of 2 children. This was his 2nd mission and his 1st command of a shuttle mission. He is a retired major from the United States Air Force. Francis Scobie was the shuttle commander today. His pilot, riding in effect 2nd seat, Mike Smith, 40 years old from Beaufort, North Carolina. Married, the father of 3 children. This was his 1st mission. He's a commander by rank in the United States Navy, a graduate of the United States Naval Academy. Among the other heroes aboard, Mission Specialist Judith Resnick, 36, hometown Akron, Ohio. Unmarried, she had a doctorate in electrical engineering, was a classical pianist. This was her 2nd mission. She was the 2nd American woman in space, 2nd behind Sally Ride. This was her 2nd shuttle mission. She was trained to operate the shuttle's robot arm. Mission Specialist Ronald McNair, among the heroes, 35 years old, Lake City, South Carolina, his hometown. The father of 2 children, married, a doctorate in physics from MIT. This was his 2nd flight. Mission Specialist Ellison Onizuka, 39 years old from Hawaii. Married, father of 2 children, an Air Force colonel. This also was his 2nd flight. His 1st flight was a secret one for the Defense Department some months back. Payload specialist and employee of Hughes Aircraft, connected to NASA, Greg Jarvis, 41 years old, married, made his home in Spring Valley, New York, an electrical engineer. He was bumped from 2 previous flights, but was finally getting a chance to go, and oh, how he looked forward to it. His job was to conduct experiments on how liquids behave in the weightlessness of space. And Susan Krista McAuliffe, 37-year-old social studies teacher, born in Boston, Massachusetts, high school teacher in Concord, New Hampshire, a teacher since 1970, and was selected from 11,146 teachers from all across the country who had applied to be NASA's first citizen in space, the first strictly citizen in space she was to have been. Married, her husband's an attorney, had 2 small children. She was to have taught later in the week 2 15-minute classroom lessons from space. Those, the 7 Americans